Let's begin by talking about what you are calling reshaping the future in your HOPE project. What exactly are you trying to achieve?
Yes, thank you very much. We've been working around the question, what is it that the world can reasonably, based on good research, hope for in the next years, 10 years, 5 years down the line? And we have come to an agreement, a consensus that actually the major report by the United Nations under Kofi Annan still at the time, that we can hope to halve poverty, we can hope to eradicate it finally, and we can hope to bring changes to the health burden of the continent. We can also hope to begin to work around the questions of peace and security, and then also further the question of greening our environments. So what we have done was to say, why don't we take those themes and look at them? And we have identified 5 themes looking at these broad areas, and including in that also the promotion of democracy and human dignity. And what we have done was to say, if we take these 5 themes broadly and begin to develop them as a project that we all hope is possible in 2015 and beyond, based on that research, that we can begin to think of what the university's role can be in the international, but specifically in the continental developmental agenda.
Yeah,
And
I definitely like, Professor,
the programs. Yes.
Professor, I definitely like the name that you have given it, HOPE, but it is also HOPE that is predicated on a very important constituency that you need to win over. You need political buy-in of this process. Have you been able to come to a position where you can confidently say that you will be able to win the political support that you will need to implement these ideas from African politicians?
I think, yes, we can. We are in negotiations on different levels. On the political level, we have already started discussions with our own, the South African Minister of Higher Education and Training, and we have to broaden the base. What is interesting is that we are working already with 5 universities outside of South Africa in a project that is part of the HOPE project, where we focus on developing the next generation of academics in Africa.
Can you name the professor?
They are also working with their governments, and together we will bring together governments around these projects.
Can you name those universities?
Yes, I can name 4 of them. We have Makerere University, we have Dar es Salaam in that context, we have the University of Botswana in it, and we now also have Kenya, the University of Kenya coming into the context, and we are broadening that, and the focus internal to that is developing the next generation of academics, and that within the HOPE project, it means that academics that will make a commitment to the development agenda of the continent.
And missing from that list, if I may say so, I understand that it is a formative stage, is of course places where there is turmoil, and perhaps places which could best use those the initiative that you're talking about. I must mention Zimbabwe, which probably would benefit from that kind of thing. But let's go through the themes that you have identified that need to be looked at. You have identified 5. Let's just quickly talk through them and how they are all interlinked, and how you hope they will be able to work together to give us a better future as Africans.
They're all interlinked, because we have to do work around first the question that will focus on the poor people. And a big and important question is, how do we secure that poor people will be able to go into the digital age, into the 21st century, and play an important role? So we know that means that when you do that work, you also have to look at the health questions around poor people. You have to look at the questions of what's happening in the rural communities, and there must be a rural component and a rural development component connected to it. And that will help us also look at the greening of the environment. And beyond that, we're looking at the question of how can we secure that we support security work on the continent, across the board, from safety to the questions of food security, water security, and we have a very strong water security work that's being done for the country in South Africa from the Stellenbosch University base. So what we want to do is broaden it so that we can include more and more other African universities in making that work, not only for South Africa, but also on the continent. And the major focus is how to take the real challenges that we face in the country and bring the universities real in-time research work and their science and put it behind these problems in order for these challenges to become solutions for the future of our continent and for next generations.
Yes, good evening, Professor. I just want to ask, what are the practical aspects, some of the more tangible aspects someone can look at to judge the success of the whole project, say over the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years?
Yes. Now, one of the major and very exciting projects that we have is called what we call the Doctoral Academy, that we have established at Stellenbosch University, and we've started enrolling the first students at the beginning of this year. We've enrolled 32 students from the continent, of which only 13 are from South Africa. The rest from everywhere else, and they are enrolled in 2 programs. So one is a master's program and the other is a doctoral program. And the idea is to get them to think of themselves as becoming doctors in fields that are relevant to our real challenges on the continent and the tough challenges. So what we have is we have these people in these programs, and they are doing very well. And we hope to challenge them to go into doctoral programs and then to finish with a postdoctoral work as well at Stellenbosch University. But what is interesting is that it connects us to these 5 other universities, and the students, we try to work also against the brain drain question. So they come to Stellenbosch University, but they are registered in their own universities. And what it means is that the professor at Stellenbosch works with the professor in Makerere, for instance, and they begin to connect with each other, support the student here, the student goes back, and the student will get what we call at the end a joint degree, handed out by Stellenbosch University and Makerere to that student, so that the student will be able to function in the student's own country.
Yeah.
And we have 32 students that you can call anytime, that you can interview. They are great people.
Yeah. Now, Professor, we're running out of time. Now, some people would say your work is way overdue. It should have been here a long time ago. But do you have a time frame within which you'll be able to implement this project?
We have already started the implementation this year, and we look at our time frame to grow it to significant numbers from the current 32, and we're looking at going to 100 and 100 plus by 2015. And a lot of that depends on the investments that we can get, support from the different countries, and the relationship between the vice chancellors of these universities become very important, because it is not something that we do for them, it is something that we do connected to each other. And our strong focus is in the first year, this year, on social scientists. And we're going to now begin to roll it out to people in the healthcare departments, but then also to natural sciences in the next years.